Champions, welcome back to your favorite sports podcast, Clocks on the Stove, episode 75. We're going to be going over Super Bowl 57, and this is one of the saddest times of the year because there is no more football, so that sucks. Sad day, but we might as well go over the last. And I mean, honestly, if we're going to be real, what a great Super Bowl until the end, you know? So we ended on a good note. It would have been nice if the college national championship was that too, but I mean, the two playoff games were pretty high caliber. So you could say 3 out of 4 of the last games were pretty fucking solid, you
Yeah.
know. So we'll take that. Your usual host, myself, Mr. Grayson Fisher, and with me, the one and only, the blonde hair, blue eyed demon, Mr. Zach Watts.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, let's dive into this. Obviously, there's going to be some controversy spoken about the game. But before we dive into that play and that moment, let's just talk about the game itself, the atmosphere, everything going on. Personally, I don't know what it is. I didn't feel like this was like a big Super Bowl. I don't know why. I feel like it wasn't that like I don't know if it wasn't that it was that hyped or I personally didn't care too much about it. I don't know. I just didn't get that like, oh my gosh, this is the Super Bowl feeling that like I usually get for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Um, I kind of attribute that to just kind of like me not liking either of these teams that much. Like for the Eagles side of things, I'm just not really interested in their fans because they just tend to destroy their city for no reason anyway. So like Super Bowl wasn't going to change much. As per the Chiefs, though, I think I'm just a hater, but I've come to respect a lot of their players aside from the BS that's occurred after the Super Bowl. For me personally, I think the worst time of the year, sports wise, is the week right after the Super Bowl because all you have is just like mid-season NBA, which like nothing's really going on. Baseball hasn't even gotten to spring training. Hockey's kind of in the swing of things, but as for like football, you like haven't really like let go of it yet. It's like kind of mourning a loss, like that it's over. And the issue with that is just you have a bunch of fans who are butthurt and make up bullshit excuses throughout the season, which is just the Super Bowl teams. It's just the two Super Bowl fan bases going at each other's throats for the next 2 weeks and a half. You get to see a Super Bowl parade that you don't give a shit about. You just see media shoving narratives down your throat just to make up bullshit to piss you off. Like it's just so infuriating to watch as someone that just enjoys the sport. I don't really care for all the BS that takes place outside of it. So this is kind of a terrible point in the year for me as a fan. I don't know how you feel. I'm just like I dread going. I haven't even gone on social media the past 2 days. I know we have to do maintenance, but the fact that I went on my phone today and it's like, oh, Patty's like already sloshed at the Super Bowl parade. I'm like, who isn't getting trashed at their Super Bowl parade? Like, why are we making a big deal about it? We can't get drunk in public anymore. That's like the least American spirit thing I've ever seen in my life. But I digress.
So yeah, I would definitely say this is one of the worst times of the year. And I don't know why. It might just be me, but I feel like this period of no football to football is way longer than the time period of having football is.
I don't know. Maybe last year's offseason it felt like that due to all the offseason shenanigans that had gone on, and we were like just a year removed from the COVID year, so it felt weird getting back into the swing of things. But I'm gonna give it some time just to kind of let this settle in, experience some other things. We have a lot going on with Clocks on the Stove itself and in our own personal lives. Before then, we were literally just sitting on our couch all day, just waiting, twiddling our thumbs. Like it was so boring. I couldn't think of anything to do. And then it was like, oh my God, football's back. Like, finally.
Yeah.
But,
Weird. It's a
maybe,
weird time, man. It's a really because I mean, like you look at other sports, like wrestling is year round. There's folk style, and then there's international. MMA is year round. I mean, to an extent, what's it called? Soccer year round, basically. Like there's sports that are year round. You're just like, oh, they're coming. But like when football season ends, like we're in a really shitty time of the year right now.
although we do have XFL coming back.
Yeah, we do. We do.
So we will.
And I do appreciate it and I will watch it and check it out. It's just hard to get as hyped and like let's go for that as I would for like a big NFL game or something.
It's weird. I know we're going a little off topic from the Super Bowl, but when I watch XFL games, like obviously the quality of competition isn't like professional, but it's better than college.
Yeah.
Like, it may
No,
not
it's
have like
professional. It's just not NFL.
that's what I mean. Yeah, like the product isn't as clean and refined, but I mean, One thing I'll give them credit for, and I will always give them credit until they change it, is they let them hit the shit out
Yeah,
of
it
each
is
other.
physical as fuck.
Yeah, they go to war out there, and they're like, yeah, you're earning $50,000, and you're just gonna murder each other for for 60 minutes. You're gonna die, and it's like,
No,
and you're
yeah,
gonna
that shit's
love
kind
it.
of dope though. That
Yeah,
shit's kind of
but
dope. Yeah, let's dive back into the matter what we're here for. Super Bowl 57. We had the Chiefs beat the Eagles. What was the final score? 38 to 34, 37 to 34?
38, 38, 35.
Yeah, 38 35, I think.
Yeah, 38, 35,
Yeah.
38, 35.
Good game, great game. First things I gotta say is Patty's ankle was complete bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. But yeah, let's just dive into the game. The game starts off hot. Eagles come out and punch him in the mouth first. We see this offense, and Nick Sirianni was being a little cocky fuck on the sideline. You saw that?
Yeah, man, crying during the national anthem, which I respect. Chris Stapleton did a wonderful rendition of the national anthem, but like when they do the close-ups and they're just like crying, I'm like, this is the most American like image I've ever seen. Just crying during the national
Dude, did
anthem.
you see the people that bet like over 2 minutes and 2 seconds or something like that
Oh yeah,
on the fucking national anthem, and it hit exactly on the dot?
yeah. Wait, if it hits on the dot, does that mean you win? Because that's
No,
technically
it means
not
you don't
over.
win.
Damn.
It didn't
Yeah,
win.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do they know? How they just know? They're like, we know. They're like, well, his practice time was 2 minutes and 1 second, but he did burp like 8 times during his recording. So like, we know this time we got a point shave. Like, fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. That's weird. But yeah, overall it was a good experience. I didn't really care. I don't think I even really watched the halftime show. I never really do. Um, I didn't really care for it, to be honest. But the game itself, like I said, first half was all Eagles. They went out there, they had what, a 10-point lead, 17-7 or something like that, or 24-20. They had
Yeah,
a 10-point
was,
lead going into half. They were in full control. I mean, dude, first of all, Dallas Goedert, man, shout him out. He's a fucking baller. Zach and I were talking about this. I don't think we could think of a Super Bowl. I mean, obviously someone's gonna fucking think of one that you saw the display of tight ends. Everyone's talking about Hurts and Patty, but what about Goddard and Kelsey, bro? Like, holy shit, two great fucking tight ends, super high caliber. They both showed, they were elite. Defenses played pretty solid for the most part. And honestly, until the end of the game, the refs didn't really get involved, and I was a big fan of it. They kind of let it go.
yeah. Before the game, there was a lot of worry about how much the officials would play a part because when they announced the officials for the game, it was made apparent that I forget his name, but the head chief, like crew chief in charge, he is responsible for covering underdogs like 63% of the time. He's the most flagged crew in the NFL. Like
Yeah, I remember
they
hearing that.
stall more drives than anyone. But like I said, they just let him play football. I'm a big advocate for letting the guys play. If you go back and put everything in slow mo and record each position, like it's very apparent there's probably going to be a flag 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, of course,
But
dude. No, there's no perfect fucking
yeah,
football.
it's impossible. But like you got to let the guys play. And I I'll kind of save that like flag towards the end of the game. But like it was a good ref game and it was a quality football game. Like it was very enjoyable to watch. From both sides of the ball, all sides of the ball, honestly, all three phases of the game were played at the highest level. It felt like we weren't cheated out of a Super Bowl because, in years past, some teams off the top of my head, you look at that Rams team that had that phantom PI that screwed the Saints out of the Super Bowl.
Dude, what about even going back deeper when the Ravens played the 49ers and they didn't call that pass interference in the end zone on the last play?
Yeah, like there's a lot of instances you can point at, and not everything's obviously going to have a point in time where you can throw it on it. But one thing I'll give huge kudos to is after the game, it would be really easy in that moment to throw the blame on the officials and say, "Oh, well, they costed us the Super Bowl," yada yada yada. In the post-game press conferences, the Eagles were very professional in how they addressed the media. James Bradbury was the first one to step on the mic and say that is a holding. He's like, I did hold him. That was the right call. He's like, I got to be better than that. It happens. No one, Nick Sirianni himself went on the stand and said, you cannot pinpoint one play in a game that costs you a game. It's accumulation of all plays that decide the game. And you can't let that boil down to like one instance not going your way. He's like, life doesn't work like that. This game doesn't work like that. And I thought that was super professional. and it sets a tone. So kudos to the Eagles in that regard. Of course, not even 30 minutes after, you have both players from both teams going to war on
Yeah,
social
I
media.
know, dude. Twitter war was nuts.
Yeah.
AJ Brown and Juju, did you see that?
That was awesome. By the way, not a big fan of Juju. Man, there was a graphic posted today. It was like 18 TikToks posted this year, 3 touchdowns. It's like, hey man, maybe try to catch the ball a little more,
No,
bud,
it was
and
funny
don't
too
talk
when he
shit.
starts trying to chirp and AJ Brown was like, "Bro, you literally had no impact in this game whatsoever. Why are you talking shit?"
Yeah. And he's like, still got the dub. At least Melvin Gordon, when they asked him about it, he's like, the difference between this team and the other teams I played for, I didn't do shit. I still got a ring. He was like, at least he owned it. But like, you got some guys just
Yeah, why
trying to
haven't
make it
they
about
utilized
themselves.
him? Why haven't they played him at all?
He's a practice squad guy. No need for him. I mean, you have Isaiah McKinnon or Isaiah Pacheco, Jarek McKinnon, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire technically still. So you have 3
Dude, I
solid
would get
guys.
rid of Hilaire and throw Melvin Gordon in that mix. Are you crazy? He's the best purpose running back out of those 3.
I don't believe so. I believe that Melvin Gordon suffers from fumbleitis, and I
He
think that
does, yeah.
is I think that is one of the gravest injuries or sicknesses you can have as a football player. Now, Melvin Gordon is an amazing football player. I'm not taking away anything from that, but the way the Chiefs play football is you can't win football games if you risk the
Yeah,
turnovers.
and they're super high paced, so like turnovers can't happen.
Yeah, and Pacheco by far earned every snap because he plays like it. So I'm never gonna ever put anyone above him on that roster.
I love the
Um,
tweets that are like Isaiah Pacheco runs like someone's trying to kill him.
yeah,
Like every time he touches the ball, he's running for his life. But yeah, shout
yeah.
out him. Shout out Rutgers. He's a Rutgers boy. Shout out Greg Schiano, big Greg Schiano guys. Um, but yeah, dude, I think, dude, it was hard to like. It's hard to really say. Well, this. That. I mean, both teams played fucking great. They played great. Now the Eagles did not have the second half adjustments they needed. I mean, the Chiefs showed their veteranism. You saw Andy Reid comfortability with being down at half. Like they didn't seem shocked. Like you saw that like, all right, we've been here. This is our first dance in the second half. They really were like, this is how we do, you know?
It's kind of interesting to me because we looked at this Eagles team and we thought obviously we thought both sides were very balanced. They were very strong points of emphasis for their team. The Eagles defense let up a touchdown every drive in that second half. They got bitched. And what surprises me is their defensive coordinator was quick to sign a contract with a new team as a head coach. And I am not too sure that is the best case for whatever team he signed for. I need to verify to see which team.
It's either the Colts or I don't remember the other one. No, OC went to the Colts.
Cardinals. He
Yeah.
head coach, and I think that's terrible because not only did you play your worst defensive ball in the Super Bowl, your defense just got significantly a lot worse going to a Cardinals team who
And you
has
lost JJ Watt.
yes, and you also don't have the Eagles. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you are cutting back on now, given it could just be a mishap, just one bad game. But a lot of the shit that was talked by the 49ers, and usually I tend to write off teams that get eliminated for just being salty and talking shit. They said they're like, if you make that D line, or Debo said it best. He said that D line makes their secondaries all pro.
Mm-hmm.
He's like those secondaries aren't all pro. And they said give respect to Darius Slay. Darius Slay is locked out, but they're like those other guys aren't shit.
Dude,
And that
it's
goes to
crazy
show.
too. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like it goes to show because Chiefs guys today during the at the parade today wearing shirts that said 0 sacks. And hey, when they kept their MVP quarterback clean, he performed, and they showed that like their secondary wasn't really much.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say the whole hype going into this game was that the Eagles have the 3rd most sacks in NFL history. And then Patty's ankle's hurt, so he's not as mobile. And then with all this, it's like every single factor was in favor for the Eagles D line, and they didn't capitalize on it at all.
Yeah. What also blows my mind is their kind of like approach. I mean, they kind of got exposed for like the schemes they ran. They ran a lot of man-to-man coverage, expecting their D-line to get pressures on Patty, which just didn't happen. So great scheme in that regard from the Chiefs. But at what point are we just going to stop man-to-manning Travis Kelce? Like, are we just never
Yeah,
going
I
to
know.
learn?
It's just never like he's too big for a DB and he's too fast for a linebacker.
Yeah. So what great teams do, which is what the Patriots did, and is the reason the Patriots beat them all the fucking time, is they'd put like a slot or like a nickel linebacker on him and line him over him. And then guess what? If he ever tried to run deep routes, Jason McCourty would just spy him over the top. He would just, all they would do is they wouldn't necessarily double him, but they would have
They'd
a
favor him.
safety.
They'd favor him.
Yeah, they would have a safety that was guaranteed over the top on his side of the field, and it wouldn't allow for that. Now, obviously, there's going to be screens and such that they're going to game plan for him open. Those are things you can't really prevent because they're specifically game planning for him. And if you only game plan for Travis Kelce, well, there's an MVP quarterback you have to watch out for as well. So you're probably going to get burnt in that regard. But I mean, just a great game overall. You look at Andy Reid, he talked a lot about picking up his coaching staff and his players doing a good job. And then now, of course, we have all these things about Eric Bienemy, who I want to kind of touch on a little bit because I have my own kind of thought process behind this. But, Eric Bienemy is a great OC, and he's apparently talking to the Commanders for a possible another offensive coordinating job. So he's
I'd
not
say
even
that
getting
happens every year, though. Every year they talk about him leaving.
Yeah, it's weird, and I guess we might as well dive into it. So from what I've been seeing is like he's been interviewed by other teams in years past, and they just straight up say no to him. They just aren't big. But I've only heard one guy really step up and like defend him, and then I've also heard one person step up and talk bad about him. And the one guy that defended him was Tyreek Hill, who was like, "Damn, like he's like my man, EB ain't got a job in the pros. Like, what the fuck we doing?" Which is like understandable. He's led the Chiefs to the best offense these past like 3-4 years. They've had no less than 12 wins. They're playing phenomenal. He's a huge part as to why they're so successful. But then on the other side of things, the only person that talked bad about him, and I don't really totally respect this guy's opinion because he's just the biggest dick rider and hater I've ever seen in my life and does not deserve a podcasting platform. LaShawn McCoy. And he was like, when I played for the Chiefs, he was like, Bienemy does not talk to the players as they deserve to be treated. And he was like, and it wasn't just me. He was like, yeah, I saw it with everyone. He does not talk like a coach should talk to his players. And that's why he will never be like a leader. He's like, that's why no team will ever give him a head coach job. He's like, there's a reason why he goes into these interviews and gets pushed off right away. And to me, at first I looked at that and I kind of brushed off, but then I thought about it. I was like, if this wasn't the case, like if LaShawn McCoy was making BS, people would call him out on it.
No one said anything.
No one said shit. No one said like, "Whoa, you're way out of line here." No one said a word, and no one is pissed that he isn't getting head coaching looks. Obviously, the Chiefs don't really care because like if they keep him, they're still going to be successful. But no one that moved teams is like stepping up and trying to speak up for the man. I see a lot of media personalities stepping up for him in the sense that they're saying like, "Oh, they're not giving another African American man a chance." Like, look, if that were the case, I would completely agree. But apparently this is a character issue. Like people just straight up don't like the man and don't respect him as a leader, which is a completely different side that I think needs to be talked about a little bit more because I was trying to find like instances or supporting reasons as to why people aren't giving this man a greater look because he's a great OC. But if people are talking down on this man's name and no one's coming to defend his name, what does that tell you?
Well, you remember in the beginning of the season, him and Patty were going at it on the sideline. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh,
in the
yeah.
very beginning of the year. So I wonder if, and like I don't have any expert insight or anything like that, but I wonder if, where's it going? I wonder if he is like not like a cancer, but he does have like that negative side to him, and it gets counteracted with Andy Reid being the head coach because he's not a head coach, he's a coordinator. So like he can kind of have those moments, and Andy Reid can like be like the security blanket over it, diet out the situation and stuff, So I wonder, but versus when you are the head coach, it's a lot fucking different. It's a lot different, especially in the NFL. Look at Urban Meyer. It's a lot different being a head coach in the NFL.
It's also interesting to point out because Andy Reid has been regarded as like a very good judge of character. Like he doesn't really care in the same aspect of like Bill Belichick or Nick Saban. He doesn't really care how good you are if you're not good for the team. So you would think like if a coach was a cancer, he wouldn't want him. But I mean, if he's technically in control, then I guess that's something you can really.
Yeah, but he might be a cancer, but like he bites his tongue because Andy Reid's there.
Right.
Versus LaShawn McCoy saying if he goes somewhere else and there's not someone like overseeing him or like putting boundaries on him, he's going to be bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I also don't think Juju is going to re-sign there just because of that because he's doing all this.
Juju sucks.
Well, regardless if he sucks or not, I'm just saying from the standpoint of like he's going to Twitter and talking all this shit. I never see any other Chiefs players do this,
Mm-mm.
but he's talking reckless. I do not think Andy Reid's going to resign him. They brought him in on a 1 year deal. And by the way, AJ Brown calling him TikTok boy, you're never coming back from that. I don't think you could have been a
Because
Super
they
Bowl
literally
MVP.
admitted they signed you for 1 year just to get rid of you.
Yeah, they're like shut up TikTok boy. Like,
Dude.
oh
Also, AJ Brown. Let's piggyback since we're on that topic. He's someone that was dead quiet in the beginning of the game. In the beginning of the game, it was all Devonate Smith, and then as it started getting into deeper waters, AJ Brown started stepping up pretty good, dude.
yeah, I'm a firm believer that AJ Brown is that fringe. Like I'm not going to say he's top five, but he's like that 5 to 7 range, 5 to 10 range. And the Chiefs showed that in their game plan. You know, they were very adamant about shading his side of the field. They said if we're going to get beat, it's going to be by Goddard and Smith. And Devontae Smith led the game in receiving yards, so he's a viable number 2 option. So kudos to him.
He did get lit the fuck up on a couple plays, though.
Oh yeah,
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 like
blown the fuck up.
murdered on a couple plays.
Yeah, I think if if I was Devontae Smith, now given I'm not a paid professional in analytics department, like I don't get paid to do this shit. But a player who's like a similar build, plays kind of the same, and I think Devontae Smith can learn a lot from is fuck, who's the Seahawks wide receiver? That's Tyler Lockett. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Lockett. The reason why he's played deep into his 30s and 40s, or
30s.
deep into his 30s. Sorry, he's not no Tom Brady. Deep into his 30s is because you know he's a smaller guy, slimmer build, but he never really like fights for extra yards. Now there's a time and a place where you should fight for extra yards, like be
And he
fourth
does,
down.
and he does when it's like fourth
Yeah,
down.
he does what he needs to.
But he doesn't
But
take hits he doesn't need to take.
possession catches all the time. Catch, get to the ground, get out of bounds. He never is like, oh, I'm just going to take this hit to get 1 or 2 more yards. Because really, what is that 1 or 2 more yards really going to do for you besides the fact that it's really going to fucking hurt in like 15 minutes when all the cortisol is out of your body? So, I mean, I think he should start kind of adapting his game like that. But then again, like some guys aren't built like that. Like if you were to tell Pacheco, like, hey man, if you want to really last your shelf life, you should really like avoid contact. Pacheco would be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like just doesn't
Yeah,
work.
but I think also part of it too, Zach. I think that's something Devontae Smith will learn. I think that's part of that's one reason is Tyler Lockett's a vet, and I think that's something Devontae Smith needs to learn. Because in college, like he could take those hits and he could do those things, but in college, you're not going against fucking, Levante David and motherfuckers like that. You're going against, to an extent, kids.
I mean, he was going up against Devin White when he was there, so that is also a terrifying individual to have hawk you down. Because
Yeah, but he was going against what 1 to 2 Devin Whites, maybe 3 in a season.
yeah,
Now he plays that every single fucking game.
yeah, this is also true. Looking at some
But
other things.
overall, I think Devontae Smith played a beautiful game. I think he's a great deep threat, and I think also since we're on this as well, Jalen Hurts played a fucking spectacular Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was gonna transition.
And all these people are like, well, he can only run. He can only run. Well, first of all, yeah, he did. He did do a great job at running. So did Patty. But he also threw some fucking dots, Zach. Like his pass to Goddard, his pass to Devontae Smith, some of his deep balls, like fucking dots. His composure in the pocket, beautiful. Jalen Hurts was him. And my dad, and we talked about this earlier, my dad was the biggest Jalen Hurts hater of all time. And then after the Super Bowl ended, my dad looked over at me and he goes, I want to apologize for everything I said about Jalen Hurts. He is fucking legit. I was like, I've been telling you, bro. I was like, I've been fucking telling you this man's legit.
Yeah. Huge shout out to the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. It was just superb performance on all ends. I'll say this for Jalen Hurts side of things, if he had any doubters still, there's no way you can be a doubter now.
No way.
Yeah, me and you were talking about this the other day. Like, you just got to be racist at this point. Like, that's the only way. Like, the ultimate way to tell if a football fan is racist is just ask them how the deep ball ability is on any black quarterback. You're like, how do you feel about Lamar Jackson's deep ball? Like, how do you feel about Jalen Hurts' deep? They're gonna be like, well,
any dude that's in their 50s and 40s, and they'll be able to tell you they're racist without saying we're racist based on that question.
Yeah, they'll be like, well, it's not the best in the league, but it gets it done. We're like, all right. Like they're like, you're a converting racist, so like it's okay. Like you're
you're like, oh, I think he's only in the league because of his feet. All right, yep, you sir are in fact racist.
Yeah, we're gonna have a RA club. It's just Racist Anonymous, where you just show up and you get all your hate out. And
About
like,
all
all
the black quarterbacks.
right. It's like, all right, they're like, you're cleansed now. But regardless, they played great. Also, shout out Patrick Mahomes. First thing he said on the stand was he was like, you got to give Hurts his flowers. Man played phenomenal. I think he's like the third quarterback in the modern era to ever throw or to ever have 370 yards combined and 4 TDs since like Joe Montana.
He's
And
the
like,
first. He's the second player ever tying the record for 3 touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
yeah, uh,
With
yeah,
his
Tom,
feet. With his feet. With his feet.
yeah, with his feet. That's another thing I want to get into. If I saw people discussing this on Twitter. Now, given it is Twitter, so there's no viable facts behind this. It's just discourse and it allows me to talk my shit. They were like bringing up the idea of like taking away the QB sneak because of like how like broken it
Oh, I
was.
did. I did see this as well. I also saw this.
Um, I just want to let y'all know the only reason the QB sneak works so well for the Eagles is because their quarterback happens to squat like 600 fucking pounds.
Yeah.
And they also have like 8 other players shoving him in the ass like 40 yards forward. So, if it really was that overpowered, why doesn't your team do it?
Yeah. No, and the other aspect of that, Zach, is you play a whole game of football where you don't know what play is going to be called, and then the one play you do know it's going to be called, it's right there. So that is the biggest, like that is the most. It's us versus you play in football.
Yeah, it's
Like they're going. The fan, everyone that's watching or knows anything about this game knows what play is coming. So don't bitch and complain. Yeah, is it hard? Yeah, but like you said, Zach, if you had a weaker quarterback, it wouldn't happen. But Jalen Hurts squats like fucking 800 pounds.
yeah. That's another thing. If it really does work that well, okay, pull your quarterback out. I guarantee you it probably fucking work too. I mean, guarantee. I mean, dude, Tom Brady's one of the great diagnosed gaps and when to pull it off. But I mean, regardless of that, there's there's ways you can pull it off. Like obviously, I don't think like Kirk Cousins is going to be able to do it that
No,
effectively.
no way. There's a lot of quarterbacks that couldn't do it as effectively as Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's just I hope they don't change the rules around that. Now, given it is a little weird how they line up, they may change some rules about how linemen have to stand because like to be honest, they're just straight up rugby scrumming in at this point. And like if you're gonna go from like if you're gonna go from like a physics analysis, the reason why in rugby they allow them to like lock shoulders at first before scrumming is because if you
So they
just
don't
let
get the hit. Yeah.
well, not only that, but like the team that gets to snap the ball and gets that like millisecond head start is going to win 9 out of 10 times given the rugby start. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
we can go back to right now and go over a lot of quarterback sneak stops.
Oh yeah,
I can
yeah,
think of one off my head right now when the Gators won their second Super Bowl under Tim Tebow. They played Ole Miss and they shut his ass down on 4th and 1 the exact same play. You
yeah.
can
I
jump
just
over the lineman, you can dive at their knees. Like it's dirty football. Yeah, I agree, but it's not unbeatable.
actually I believe they changed the rule. I don't know if you're allowed to jump over the line more.
I think that's just on field goals
Yeah, you may be right. Can you jump over the O line?
on QB sneak.
Nope. Yep. You're fine. You
Yeah,
can.
I think it's just field goals. You can't jump over the O line.
Yeah, you just can't make No, you can clear them, but if you make contact with the
Yeah.
lineman, it's a foul.
Not the
So
center though. You cannot jump the center at all.
yeah, protect our centers. Shout out
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey. By the
Yeah.
way, that's
And
another.
shout out Mason Arnold, starting long snapper at Michigan State.
Yeah, shout out Mason Arnold. That's another thing I kind of want to talk about. I know we're not parents. We don't have any little Graysons or Zachs running around, thankfully.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah,
That we know of.
yeah, that we know of out there. I mean, hey, if I have one out there, don't come calling. I ain't answering. You think Geno Smith didn't write back? I sure as fuck ain't writing back. Let me tell you, I don't give a fuck. Shout out to all the fathers that stepped up out there.
Yeah. I know. Shout out
because it ain't me. Because it ain't me. Oh, but that's going in the blooper reel. But regardless,
I'm gonna be wearing. You think Geno Smith right back? That was fucking golden.
oh yeah. But I mean, come on, man. I'm just not that guy. In terms of that shit, I'm more of a podcaster, not a father. So
Yeah.
let's keep it at that. Regardless, though, how would you feel as a parent if you had 2 kids in Super Bowl? Do you console the child that lost, or do you lift the child that won? what are we kind of what are
First
our
of all, if
parental
you're the
philosophies
mom, you have to have like swagger and confidence on a million.
on a
Like you
million?
gotta, I'd walk up to every other mom I ever saw and be like, "You're a pussy." Like, what did you do? My kids, both of them are in the Super Bowl. It's not like I had one kid that was great and one kid that was all right. Both of them are in the Super Bowl.
I got pussy popping greatness, bitch.
Yeah,
Like what?
like
Like what's
literally
up?
though. Like yeah. It's just like I would flex. I don't think I feel like Jason Kelsey doesn't really give a fuck. I feel like he's just the kind of guy that's like, oh, we lost. All right, Travis, go get a beer. Like
Yeah.
I feel like he didn't really give a shit. Like, yeah, he was sad. He probably cried a little and he was pretty upset, but I don't think it's something that's like haunting him. Like that corner for the Eagles, what was his name that made that play? Bradford or something?
I don't even remember.
The one that held on to the jersey.
James Bradbury.
Bradbury. He's probably haunted and he has every right to be. But dude, Jason Kelsey played fucking phenomenal. If you go back and watch their short plays and their short screens, he was decleating Kansas City defenders,
Yeah.
decleating them, and then like burping and fingering his belly button and then walking back. Like
Yeah.
fucking awesome. Did you see the one scene that's like, let's do a check in on the Kelsey brothers. Travis Kelsey just caught a touchdown, and they go to Jason, and he's eating he's eating a protein bar, like
Protein bar.
yeah, and they're like Jason Kelsey eating a snack.
Yeah. Oh god, that kills me. That was another thing that I kept seeing on social media. It was like, why are the Kelsey brothers like act so different? It's like Travis is like borderline black, and they're
No,
like
Travis is light skin as fuck.
yeah, and they're like Jason is 100% redneck, and they're like, well, Travis played high school basketball, and fucking Jason was a hockey player. Which, by the way, if I ever saw Jason on a skating rink, I would get the fuck
Yeah,
out of there
imagine that
because
dude
that
flying at you on skates.
on yeah, you think you have a chance in cleats, bro? That man on ice skates will bury you in the ground. But that
Dude,
there's
also, I think the other aspect of it too is Travis is with wide receivers all the time who are mostly black,
yeah,
and Jason's with O linemen who are both.
yeah.
And speaking on that too, I don't want to get political at all. We never gonna get political. I just think this is. I don't even think this is political. I think this
It's
is
just
just fucking.
it's a cultural difference. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
all
just
it
think
is.
this is also ridiculous. Can we get rid of the end racism signs on the end zones, please?
Yeah,
I agree. Look, I'm all for. I do think there's a lot of things we need to do and bring us together as a community. But when the NFL is over 90% played by black men, it's not racist.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I dude, there was this one joke. It literally killed me. It was like, guys, I know Jerry Jones was in that photo of like preventing black kids from going to school, but he's changed. Now he just owns a bunch of black men to work for him on a football field.
He
And it
just
was
gives
like,
$1 million.
yeah, he just gives them millions of dollars. Like, come on, like give me that race. But I just thought that was
Yeah. No, like I said, I don't want to get political. We don't do any politics over here. I don't want to say anything, but I think we can all agree. I mean, the majority of the men that play in the NFL are black. It's not that. Now, are there
because
racist things that happen? Most likely.
hey,
But
you want to talk about ending racism? We just had two black quarterbacks play the
yeah,
best
yeah,
Super Bowl of all time.
literally,
Yeah,
yeah,
you want to talk that literally ended racism right there.
yeah, yeah,
So
right
let's
there. But
yeah
yeah, Zach, I think we're tiptoeing around the elephant in the room, and I think we got to just dive on into it. Let's talk about the play.
yeah let's discuss.
So, I mean,
Give,
I have
give your
something.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is what I
give
gotta
your
say.
opinion first.
First and foremost, for everyone that doesn't understand the play, it's when Juju got held, which set up the field goal and which won the Chiefs the game. What I have to say is, was it a hold? Yes, I do agree it was a hold, 100%. But I want to give a shout out to a great analyst whose first year was this year, who did a phenomenal job at both college and NFL level, Mr. Heisman winner RG3, and he stated this kind of call. It's not that it's not a holding call. It's that this kind of call, like this caliber of call, is something you decide in the beginning of the game. In the very beginning of the game, you decide as the refs, all of you, are we going to let these calls slide? Or are we going to call these calls? And they let it slide the whole game. They were cool with like little holding calls that didn't really interfere the play. They let it go. Like we said earlier in the pod, they let a lot of shit go to keep the game flowing. But the one time they call it is the most fucking crucial time in the game. So if they would have been calling plays like that, Zach, throughout the whole game, I wouldn't have been upset. It's that they let exactly similar plays like that slide all game, and then that one time they call it. The other thing is, even if he didn't hold him, he wasn't catching the ball. Patty threw it fucking 30 yards. Like, he overthrew the fuck out of it. It was not catchable at all.
Yeah. And that's another thing you said. You hit the nail on the head, which is like, it's a ticky-tacky call, which, yes, if you want to get into the specifics, should it have been called? Yes, but not in the Super Bowl during the final drive of the game where you making that call is going to completely just put it like it's just going to piss a lot of people off. I'm not going to sit here and say put an asterisk because in my opinion, I still think the Chiefs would have gotten into field goal range and scored anyway. So, and the fact that like
down though, bro.
Oh yeah, shit, it was.
They would have punted. It would have been what, like a minute and a half left or something.
Yeah, a minute like 50.
We would have either seen the Jalen Hurts era start, or we would have seen an overtime, which I would have been cool with both.
I wouldn't give a fuck. I would have been like, holy shit, like this is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was belligerent drunk during the game anyway, so it really didn't matter
during this game.
Yeah. I mean, we had back-to-back nights where I was
just what a great fucking weekend of sports, dude. But yeah, I just that holding play did not change the outcome of the game. Like, it wasn't like a crucial play. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they just called it. And it goes back to our theory that everything's fucking rigged.
Yep. And not rigged through the players, obviously, rigged through officiating. But I have to say though, Arian Foster going on PMT and saying they got scripts before games led to the greatest slate of memes I think I've ever seen.
For the past like 2 weeks, it's just been fire fucking memes.
Yeah, script meme. It was like Ray Lewis when he gets his 2002 offseason script. And it was like, oh fuck! There was
Alex Smith. It's like Alex Smith reading his script for the next season. It's like a dude sweating his balls off.
Yeah, or like the Ratatouille guy reading through, and it was like DeMar Hamlin when he has to realize what he has to go through after that. And then he's like, no. He's like, this can't be. Or like even the Uncle Ruckus being like, oh my god, like those shits cracked me the fuck up. Obviously, I'm not poking fun at what happened to DeMar Hamlin. It was just the fact that some things are a part of the script, some things aren't. It's just
it was funny. Hilarious. It's fucking funny. I bet DeMar Hamlin thought it was fucking funny.
Yeah, fact. By the way, that's the other thing I kind of want to touch on is like people that still get mad about people that are like making jokes about it. I'm like, dude, I feel like you are free game. Like once you find out you are healthy and okay. Like
once you're alive, once you're good.
When I got hit by the car, I got clowned while I was in the hospital. Like I was still like getting CAT scans in my head, and my friends were like, damn, I guess you got hit by the car that only hits gay people. And I was like, oh shit. I was like,
you're like, shit, doctor told me it's not true.
Yeah, and they're like, damn, dude, you're like, you just got free excuse to like rizz up girls. You're like, yeah, I just had a car accident. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, damn. Yeah. They're like, you did it for clout, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, man, totally. Just love getting hit by a fucking vehicular manslaughter. I live for it. But I mean, shit happens. I mean, I'm sure he'd like to poke fun at it now, knowing that he's okay to survive. So wish him nothing but the best in the future.
But yeah, I think we were robbed of an overtime. I think it would have been fucking awesome. I think the game was awesome. Also, dude, back on Jalen Hurts, how about the poise in the post-game interviews? Not shit-talking any of the Chiefs, not blaming anyone on his team or his coaches. It took everything on the chin like a fucking leader, like a veteran.
Yeah, 100%. Just, we've spoken about it so much. Like, you talk about our meat writing awards, like, we might as well just put ourselves down as, like, the Jalen Hurts dick.
Yeah, I'm on the Jalen Hurts meat writing award.
We may be runaway winners. I don't know. I'm so glad Chris Collinsworth wasn't doing the Super Bowl because that man would have sucked Patty off harder than Lord knows who. But I mean, I don't know, man. When it comes to Jalen Hurts, like, can you imagine a team that's any more opposite of their fans? Like Eagles fans, like commit murder after football games, and like the Eagles themselves were like the most confident. Like the Eagles acted like
they're very wholesome.
Yeah, they're very. It's just a great group of like men just throughout, like through staff, through the team. Like I've yet to see one bad interview of them or like doing anything wrong.
Nick Sirianni, though, he's Philly as fuck.
Oh yeah, no, that man likes to talk his shit.
But yeah, like when that play got overturned and he was like, "What's up? What's up?" Yeah. And then like they kicked the field goal to go by 10 by halftime, and he's flicking off the Chiefs. Like,
yeah,
he is super Philly.
But like he keeps it on the field. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like because even in the posting conference, immediately credited the Chiefs for playing a great game. But one more thing I want to talk about, because I feel like we've exhausted most of the topics for the Super Bowl. But one more thing I want to talk about is you can be right in both aspects. A lot of the dialogue that I kind of went into before the game started was I thought the Eagles had no weaknesses across the board. I thought there was no glaring spot you could look at them on the field and say like they have a weakness here. And I still think that's true. I just think the Chiefs played a better game. When you have a quarterback like the caliber of Patrick Mahomes, and you have players like Travis Kelce and offensive mind like Andy Reid and Eric Bienemy, they're going to play great football. And their defensive game plan was just as good. They gave up, they gave up 35 points, but they did enough to come out with the win, and that's what great teams do.
Well, they
And
did good until the second half.
Yeah, they did good until the second half, and shit just fell apart. But yeah, man, I don't think the Eagles are going to be done. I think definitely if they can keep their core intact, they can definitely make another run at things. I'm interested to see what the 49ers do in the future. I think them running it back, because I thought 49ers were the team until they got hurt. So, because honestly, I thought a rematch between the 49ers and Chiefs would have been insane.
I mean, I wanted Bengals, Eagles so bad.
I mean, obviously I love the Bengals. I remember, first and foremost, I am a Chiefs hater. There will never be another dynasty like the Patriots, and the Chiefs can be as good as they want, they still will never be there. And that's another thing that I can't fucking stand, because I cannot tell you how many times I've had to come to Tom Brady's defense about this. They're like, oh, we've never seen a quarterback quite like Patrick Mahomes do what he's done through the first couple years. Doug, Patty's won what, 2 rings in 5 years? Tom had 3 in 5 and hadn't lost one. He had a perfect record up until this point, and had already had an MVP. He's already led the league in passing yards. He has done everything Patty's done except a little bit further. And if you think, like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Patty, he's still only 27. He has a ton of time left. But if you think that man's playing until he's like 40 years old, that doesn't happen.
His style doesn't translate. Yeah, his style doesn't translate for long.
At some point, them hips, he already walks a little funny. He's got that little like sway when he walks, like a little cafeteria lunch lady waddle.
My sister said it's like a penguin.
Yes, he waddles a lot. I always say that he like waddles like a penguin, or he's like that. It's like your middle school guidance counselor that's like too thick for no reason. Like she's just out there waddling for God, like what's doing all that ass. But regardless, at some point, all that junk in the trunk gonna have to weed its way out of the system.
Yeah. Facts though.
Yeah, facts though. Let me just cap that off right there. Waddles like a middle school.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I think we hit everything on the head. I don't got really much more to say.
Yeah, not here to be a hater.
NFL is rigging the Chiefs to be the next Patriots because they need another dynasty now that the Bucks are done. So that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
If we are done, I do have one question to finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
Does Jason Kelce retire?
No.
13th year in the NFL, just had another kid. Does he retire?
It's hard to say, but I feel like he's the type of guy that if he feels like he has enough to give his team one more good ride, he's going to do it. I don't know how he feels personally, health-wise. Tom Brady was able to push off his family for 45 years. I'm pretty sure you can push off yours for like maybe one more.
One more season.
Yeah, maybe one more season. Like, come on, man. Like, Hurts is still so young. You've got another year with probably all your guys still there. Like, you're one of the greatest.
I think you give it one more dance. You give it one more dance.
Yeah.
And your kids are at the age where it's like, I know it sounds so fucked up, but like they're not like doing too much yet where you kind of need to be there, Like they're not like going to they're not having sporting events or like prom or anything like that. Like they're like fucking children.
Yeah. Give them a fucking iPad, make them sit on the bench and practice. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, fact.
Yeah, do one of those little photo shoots where when they show up for spring training camp, it's like, oh my God, or like spring training, or when they show up for a training camp, they're like, oh my God, Jason Kelce's with his daughter. Or like, I mean, dude, just keep doing your fucking podcast. I'm sure if Travis keeps talking enough shit, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna fucking kill you like one more year. So like, fuck it.
So yeah, that's everything I got to say Super Bowl wise. I don't got any more things to add.
Yeah, man. We were able to talk about one game for 45 minutes. So
yeah. Well, I do have an off topic question though. I have for you.
Yes.
What would you rate your top 5 favorite protein meals?
Protein meals?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go steak. Second, I'm gonna go chicken wings. Third, I'm gonna go ribs. Fourth, I'm gonna go pulled pork. And 5, 5, give me the old school classic, easy to make, easy, good protein. Give me some eggs.
Okay, fair. Number one, plain and simple, steak. If we're asking for a specific cut or how it's made, my mom makes the best flank steak known to man. Couldn't get enough of it. I have been recently making some ribeye steaks with steak and potatoes. That is like my go-to meal twice out of the week. Remember, guys, for all you at home that want to bulk, red meat 2 times a week. You can eat white meat the rest of it. Just don't eat too much red meat. Clogs up your arteries. Not the best for you. Limit it. But yeah, I feel like what makes a protein is the carbs you follow it up with. So like when
No,
I'm
I'm
eating,
talking. No. I want to hear just if you only had the protein.
I only had the protein. Okay, definitely flank steak number one. Number two, I'm definitely gonna go with lemon zest chicken, baked preferably in the oven. I don't really need that charred stuff unless I was putting it in a quesadilla. Although I do
Okay.
make some fucking bomb quesadillas. I'm not gonna lie.
Like some green peas and stuff.
Okay, shut the fuck up. We don't need to go there. I'm not talking about no veggies. Fucking weirdo. Number three, I'm gonna go. See, this is just an all-time classic for me, and this is probably just straight up cat. The fucking chicken you get at like the Asian place in the mall, just they fucking load
Of what
whatever.
kind? There's multiple. There's honey. There's teriyaki. There's bourbon.
The teriyaki just smacks every time, and that
Yeah.
that shit's
I mean,
definitely.
it's like a pound of sodium per piece, but yeah.
I don't give a fuck. They could tell me this shit is cancer inducing, and I would be like, all right, one last meal. Like,
Yeah, I could have one more.
yeah, I can have one more. Like it hasn't killed me up to this point.
It probably is cancer inducing.
I mean, dude, it's probably squirrel and cat that they found on the side of the road. I mean, shit, we got COVID from bats, so
Yeah.
fuck it. I think 4 and 5 though, it's gonna be hard. 4, I think I'm gonna go with the classic fried chicken tender, just because it's an American classic. And number 5, even though this is a month of me being clean without fast food, I've only been cooking for myself. I do miss it dearly, and it's a good old fashioned double cheeseburger. Just in the McDonald's, preferably a steak and shake like steak burger. God damn, I've been craving one of those for so long. Last night I had a dream about one, but then I realized I've only been cooking for myself. So
man, that's what happens when you cut weight too, bro. You have dreams of like drinking a bunch of water.
yeah, that's funny. Gunther the other day was telling me because we were like talking about like weight cuts, and then he brought up how when you were a Jesuit, when you were going through weight cuts, you'd be like, "Let me just smell it."
Yeah. Let me smell your lunch.
He was like, "Yeah." Grayson would show up for breakfast, and he would have a piece of bologna wrapped in lettuce, and he was supposed to eat it at lunch, but he'd eat it right when he got to school, and then he just sit at the lunch table like.
Yeah, I cut weight so bad in high school, dude. No, my senior year I did it pretty right, but I didn't cut a lot. But my sophomore year, stunted my growth. I cut it so bad.
Poof. Yeah, I never want to go through a weight cut. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll like say fuck it, and for a clocks on the stove purposes, I'll do one amateur fight just for like shits and kicks.
What do you weigh right now? One night you could not fight. You'd have to cut to 70, but even then you'd be kind of small.
No, but I'm really bloated. I think my natural weight, if I were to go like do cardio right now, I'd probably be like 181. I could probably realistically cut down to like 155.
If I suck.
It would suck a lot of dick, but like that, I'm not fighting anyone at 170. There's no fucking way.
Way too small to fight at 170.
Yeah, I'm 5. I get murdered. I would get fucking ass raped. I would have a terrible time. So I'd rather suffer during the weight cut and just somewhat fucking make it through the fight. But there's no way in fucking hell. Like for example, if I were to lose the fantasy league per se, and I'd have to go to the open, I'm cutting some weight. I'm not wrestling it. I'm not fucking wrestling the big boys. They'll kill me. They
would actually kill you though.
Yeah, no, they would try. They would try. At least like if I like got to like 160 or like I'd have to even go lighter than 160. Those
165 is Julian.
Yeah, he's a fucking scary little.
He's a thick boy.
That's a muscle hamster if I've ever seen one. Yeah, so even 150 is pretty scary, but I feel like if I cut down to that, I'd still be
57. You could be straight.
Yeah, 57. We could probably make that pretty comfortably. How long would if I did the open? How long would I have to make weight for? Because
I don't know whatever it is. It's only one way in.
Oh, it is.
Uh huh.
Okay, yeah,
But
because I was gonna.
it's the thing about wrestling though is you wrestle 45 minutes after you weigh in. It's not like me who gets 36 hours.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing.
Makes the
Because
cut a lot harder.
yeah, yeah, fuck. Because another thing I was thinking about though is because what I was most worried about is like, let's say I make the weight, and if you lose, you're out, right? It's not like you have to do
No,
like a
it's two.
couple.
You would lose two. Yeah.
Fuck.
Hey, and if it makes you feel any better, a 14-year-old just won a D1 college open.
All I'm saying is if we somehow, because okay, how long is the end of fantasy season before like the first open? That's like a month or two, right?
When does season end? End of
Fantasy
fantasy?
season.
Like
Uh,
January? Yeah, it's
it
probably like a
ends like
month.
it ends like week 17, week 18 of
Yeah, it's
regular
probably
season.
like a month. I mean, there's opens all up until like the beginning of March
Yeah,
and
because like
middle of March.
yeah, we really have to start thinking about how much time we're actually going to give like the
Yeah, but you kind
fantasy
of know
loser.
who's going to be in last place a little bit before the end.
Yeah, so we're gonna give them like a fair warning. Like, look, you better either get in the like you need to at least come to a practice so we can teach you how to fall, or like you're gonna get your clavicle snapped in half.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have a collarbone for the next 2 months. But that's a
But
problem for
anyways,
next year.
Super Bowl 57, episode 75. Thank you for tuning in. Clocks on the stove.